Good morning, everyone. Welcome on this beautiful morning on this beautiful town common. Thank you for joining us this morning as we dedicate this very special memorial to those who died on that very dreadful day 16 years ago tomorrow, and to those who continue to serve us today. These two rails sat below the two World Trade Center buildings for trains shuttling people from New York to New Jersey. And on the very last day that the New York, New Jersey Port Authority were giving away artifacts, firefighter Ed McLean, Deputy Chief Mike Patterson, and I traveled to JFK Airport's Hangar 17 in New York to pick up these two pieces of history. Two reminders of the sacrifice made by the firefighters and police officers who died that day running towards the danger. This world is a better place because of all of those in New York City that day. This world is a better place, and this town is a better place because of the men and women who serve us every day. This memorial will also be here to remind us of those who died in the days and the months and the years following 2001 because of the rescue work they did at the site and at the cancers they contracted. I want to welcome Colonel Roman Hund, commander of the 66th Air Base Group, and his wife Hillary, and Chief Command Sergeant Henry Hayes, who is only 23 days into his assignment here at Hanscom, so welcome. I want to thank the members of the Burlington Fire Department and the Burlington Police Department for joining us today. Chief Michael Kent and Police Lieutenant Robert Kirshner will speak, as will Fire Chief Steve Yetman and Firefighter Ed McLean. At this time, I would like to introduce the bagpipers, the honor guard, and the United States flag. At this time, Larry Rice, the commander of the Allied Veterans, and Ed Tedesco, the commander of the Disabled American Veterans, will raise the American flag.
Honor guard. Reset. Oh.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For those standing, you can be seated.
Detail. Order. On. Order. On.
At this time, I would like to ask the Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Chris Hartling, to join us.
Order on to the ground. Order. On.
Parade. Rest.
Thank you, Bob. Good morning, everybody. My job is to say a few quick words and get out of the way and let the important people speak, so I'll do that. I do want to thank, first of all, we all want to thank everybody for being here. I think it's a great tribute to the remembrance of the day. Bob, great job putting this together, so special thank you to you. We do have some special guests today that it's important that we recognize. We have some members of the Hayes family, the McGinnis family. We have some members of Coach Trentini's family here. Also, as Bob alluded to earlier, Colonel Roman Hund and Chief Command Sergeant Henry Hayes from Hanscom. Thank you very much. Also, very important to recognize the family of Lance Corporal Greg McDonald. Greg was a Marine, was a son of Burlington, and was killed in action in Iraq. It's important that we think of him today as well. Thank you to the police officers and the firefighters, past and present, that are here today. State Senator Cindy Friedman, State Rep Ken Gordon. There are some members of the Board of Selectmen here, Mike Runyon, Jim Tegas. I saw John Petrin walking around earlier. Briefly, again, many of us remember September 11th, 2001. That was a day that changed the world. We also remember that after that event, there was this wave of patriotism and appreciation for the first responders around us and around the world. I guess a message I hope we all get today is that it's important not only to remember those people today, it's important to remember and think about those people all year round. So I hope that's something we'll all take away with us today. So thanks again to everyone for coming, and this is a very important ceremony. I'm sure you all agree. Thanks.
Last year, for those of you who were here and remember, and for those who don't, at the very end of our program, a wall of water, of rain, descended upon us without any warning, and kind of sent us on our way very quickly, except for one. Firefighter Cliff Camo, who was ringing the bell that day, stood his post and made sure that the final ringing of the bell to honor those who died stayed at the post in that rain. We thank him for that. Long before radio dispatches and computer links, the 555, 3 sets of 5 ringings of the bell, that was the signal to communicate that someone had died in the line of duty. And Cliff took that very seriously. Now, Cliff is not here today. He had a family commitment that took him away. Brendan Mitchkay will be ringing the bell today with the same dedication and commitment that Cliff showed last year. At this time, I would like to ask that we're going to place a wreath for those from Burlington that we lost 16 years ago. And placing the wreath will be retired Navy Commander Peter Dutton and his wife Catherine. Catherine is the sister of the co-pilot of American Flight 11, who died that day. And the family, Barbara, the mother, Barbara, and sister Pam Hayes from Robert Hayes' family will be joining them. We would ask them to come up now and place the wreath for the families.
Detail. Attention.
At this time, I would like to invite Colonel Roman Hund, who is the commander of the 66th Air Base Group at Hanscom Air Force Base, who contacted us and asked to be here today on this important day, and we welcome him to be here with us this morning. Colonel?
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you for inviting Hanscom Air Force Base to be a part of this very important ceremony. Chief Hayes and I are honored to join the Burlington community in remembering and paying tribute to the individuals who lost their lives in the tragic events that took place on September 11, 2001. 16 years have passed since that tragic day, and whether or not we personally knew any of the victims, we still feel their loss. Their spirit of selflessness and courage is an endearing legacy that still inspires us today. As we honor and remember the civilians, first responders, and service members who had their lives taken from them that day, we also celebrate the collective determination and continue to fighting for a safer, stronger, and more resilient America. As perhaps no other event in history has done, 9/11 leads us to reflect on the enormous sacrifices our first responders have made that day and are willing to make every day to defend and save the lives of others. Just as earlier generations endured and overcame great tests, so too has this generation. Our nation has been unified and strengthened by the challenges brought forth by the events of 9/11. Today we also remember and honor Burlington's own Lance Corporal Gregory McDonald. He and his family paid the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our nation. Men and women like Corporal McDonald left the safety of their sovereign soil to defeat tyrants, ensure justice, and fulfill the promise of safety and security for our citizens in the global community. Their lives were dedicated not to conflict or death, but to compassion and life. We have all been touched by the sacrifices our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen have made in the service of our country and the suffering it has brought to their families and friends. As U.S. Air Force Chief of Staff General David Goldfein reminds us, we are 16 years into a 30-year conflict. There's still much to be done. I ask you to remember those who stand shoulder to shoulder against terror and oppression to carry freedom's torch to foreign lands. Remember the military, support their families, never forget the missing, and rejoice in their lives. Chief Hayes, if you'll join me to place the wreath at Corporal McDonald's memorial.
As they make their way to the wreath, Gregory McDonald's mother and father are out of the country, and I found that out just this morning. And I haven't seen any of the other family here, but if they are here, certainly let us know and you could help place the wreath. But the Colonel and the Command Sergeant will place the wreath for Lance Corporal Gregory McDonald. Behind us, please. And at this time, Brendan Michike will bring the bell.
Hut!
The young scout that you saw join the Colonel was Greg McDonald's nephew, and he represented the family. Douglas, thank you. At this time, we're going to unveil the artifact. We have a member of the police department and a member of the fire department. The police officer is James Tigas. The fire department is Jerry Hannafin. Gentlemen. Hopefully people will come here and stand and remember what happened that day and what we all lost on September 11th, 2001. It is our hope that the people will view this memorial, will be proud that we have it here in Burlington on this beautiful town common, honoring the brave men and women who run towards danger to protect us and stand between us and the evils of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the Westford Pipes and Drums. At this time, I would like to invite firefighter Ed McLean to the podium.
Parade, rest.
Morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask everybody to at least take a moment to think about those that are in harm's way down in Florida, and all the folks down in Texas that are suffering the effects of Hurricane Harvey. I have to say a special thank you today. I'm not going to get hopefully I won't get choked up like last year. But the reason that we're here today is because of one person in particular, and that's Bob Hogan. I have to tell you that you look around this common, it's probably the most beautiful space of any common in the state. Having traveled most of the state doing the business that I do on the side. Take a moment after we're done today and go around and look at the memorials. It's tremendous. And Bob Hogan acquired this stuff. He allowed me and Mike Patterson, Chief Patterson, to go with them to get these two pieces of steel, and it means the world to us. Forever it's going to be here, and this is just the beginning of what the memorial's actually going to look like. We're hoping to have cobblestone, and we're hoping to have it lit. But in the meantime, this is an awesome tribute. If I could have Bob Hogan come up for a second, I have a small presentation for him. not going to speak out loud so you guys can't hear it, but this is a personal. It's a memento from the Firefighters Union down in Washington, D.C. for those who put a little extra effort in.
Oh my God, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Am I introducing the chief?
Yeah. Do you want me to put this on now?
Thank you so much to the Board of Selectmen. Thank you so much to, very much to the town administrator. I see him back there. I don't know if anyone mentioned him today. He sort of looks like Chris Christie, but with his baseball hat on. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Fire Chief Steve Yetman.
Good morning. First, I'd like to thank those of you who took the time to join us today on this important occasion. The events of September 11, 2001 certainly touched the lives of all Americans that lived through it. But it is our duty to tell the story of that day and the days that followed to generations going forward. The loss of 3,000 civilian lives, the dedication and duty of 23 New York City police officers, 37 Port Authority police officers, and 343 New York City firefighters needs to be honored and remembered as they did their best and paid the ultimate sacrifice as they tried to save others. What some may not know is the FDNY continues to lose members attributed to that day. Since September 11, 2001, the FDNY has lost an additional 159 members, including firefighters, EMS personnel, fire marshals, and civilian employees from 9/11 related illnesses. Another 1,700 active and retired members have some type of cancer to be attributed to exposures at Ground Zero. The acquisition of these artifacts was a near impossible task. The Burlington Fire Department has been trying to obtain items since the beginning. Numerous letters of request that were sent, phone calls that were made by both Assistant Chief Patterson and myself were unsuccessful. Not until Bob Hogan made it his goal to spearhead this project was his continued effort, along with the assistance of Congressman Seth Moulton's office, where we were successful in obtaining these pieces. I'd like to once again thank Assistant Chief Patterson, Union President Ed McLean, and Bob as they traveled to New York to pick up these artifacts. I'd like to also thank Bob Hogan for all his efforts in obtaining these pieces. It would be my honor and privilege to accept one of these pieces on behalf of the Burlington Fire Department and its members.
At this time, I would ask the chief and firefighter McLean to place the wreath for the firefighters at the memorial.
Order. Oh.
I want to thank Ed McLean for this gift. It means a lot. I married into a family of a lot of firefighters, and this is special, so thank you. At this time, I would like to ask Police Lieutenant Robert Kirchner to the microphone.
Good morning, everyone. When Chief Kent asked me to speak today on behalf of the police department, I was honored and I was scared at the same time. A couple days later, I received an email from Mr. Hogan asking me to make a brief comment. How brief it's going to be, Bob, I don't know. But asked me to make a brief comment regarding the rank and file, how important this memorial is, and how important it is to never forget those who died during the events of September 11th. For days, I was writing one thing after another, thinking of something else, I would write some more and then throw the original away. Then I would come up with some more ideas, write them down, and throw the next one away. Every time I would write something down, the same thing would pop in my mind about what I thought was the core of my comment here today. That's family. My family, but not the family you are all thinking of. So at this time, I'd like the police department to come over here and the fire department. Guys, come on in. Now I'm going to speak from the heart about my family. Our family of blue and our family of red. You see, when you join one of these two professions, you're joining a family with the same goals, the same beliefs, and the same ideas. A family that has dedicated their lives to helping others, to protecting others, a family that is willing to do anything for each other. But our family does not end here. Our family extends across and throughout the state and throughout this nation. So on September 11, 2001, we watched on TV and we listened on the radios as our brothers and sisters in blue and red respond to this horrific tragedy. These men and women did what they needed to do. In the words of Bill Belichick, they were doing their job. Many of our family members made the ultimate sacrifice, and I can guarantee they did it without hesitation. In closing, I will say this. On September 11th, 343 firefighters died and 60 police officers died at the World Trade Center. Several others have died over the years from illnesses related to Ground Zero while doing rescue and recovery. This memorial is a wonderful tribute to all the people who lost their lives because of the terrorist attack on that day. And my family, the family that stands here with me right now, they will never forget because of the impact it had on our family, our extended family of blue and red. Thank you, and at this time I'd like to introduce Chief Mike Kentz.
Thank you. Thank you to Mike Patterson, Ed McLean, and Bob Hogan. It was a lot of work to get this here, and I think we can all agree it was worth it. Sadly, it seems every generation has something that connects them to where they were when it happened. The greatest generation can certainly tell you exactly where they were when they heard about Pearl Harbor. When President Kennedy was assassinated, my mother could tell you she was teaching a seniors English class in Hadley, Massachusetts in room 222. When the Challenger tragedy happened, I was in the police academy. When 9/11 happened, I think everyone in here can remember where they were, what they were doing. Sadly, there will probably be other tragedies. However, I hope Monday we always have the honor of going to Pine Glen School for Heroes Day. They invite the police and the fire. And I look into the audience there, those smiling little faces who are there to say thank you to public safety. They don't grasp the enormity of it all. But I hope they won't have to deal with the tragedy, that they will remember where they were standing when it happened. And I hope with this memorial here, we will remember not only the first responders, but the people that were just going to work that day to make a living. And I hope when we drive by here, we will look at this and remember the tragedy, but I hope we also maybe take a second and remember to appreciate the little things in life, like, taking your kid to soccer, things that you may occasionally grumble about, but I hope we'll look at that and say, you know what, life is good. Those people on 9/11 don't have a chance to appreciate those little things. Mr. Hogan, on behalf of the police department, with a heavy heart, I proudly accept this piece of history. Thank you.
We also now have the unveiling of the memorial marker. Would both chiefs kindly... oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. Lieutenant Kirchner and the chief will place the wreath for the police department. Thank you, gentlemen. And now, at this time, we will unveil the marker that identifies these artifacts and why they're here on the town common. Chief? Please take a moment at the end of the program to read what it says and identifies how many of the firefighters and police officers that died that day. At this time, I would like to introduce our state representative, Ken Gordon.
Thank you very much, Bob, and again, thank you for a job well done in bringing such an important artifact here to Burlington so that we can reflect when we come back here to the town common on the events of 9/11 that affected so many of us. We learned on that day of the resilience and the dedication of people who joined a profession, the professions behind me, the first responders, the fire, the police, who did march forward so that others could retreat to safety. And we owe so much to them. We owe so much to those who perished on that day. We owe so much to those who still suffer because of what they experienced on that day. And we owe so much to those who survived that day, again, so that others could be safe. We also learned, as a result of that day, that the world came together. The world came together to stand against the type of conduct, the type of terror that challenged us on that day. We had friends, we had allies, and we realized that we as Americans are a strong people, and we became an even stronger people as we move forward from that day. So, to the firefighters, to the police, to Bob Hogan, and to Burlington for continuing to respect the events of that day. I congratulate you. I appreciate being a part of it. State Senator Cindy Friedman is here. We're both a part of this, and our hearts are here with Burlington on this day. Thank you.
At this time, we'll turn our attentions back to the Westford pipes and drums. Thank you, gentlemen. I want to thank for the nice words said about me today. I'm quite proud standing in front of this group of people, the firefighters and police officers, and it brings joy to my heart that they appreciated what I did. So thank them, and it's been my honor to serve with them in the town of Burlington. At this time, we have another round of bells Brendan Mitchkay will perform. And this will not be the last time we gather for a 9/11 ceremony. As Firefighter McLean indicated, we will be doing work on the site to be determined, and we will bring everybody together for those moments. It was really nice to see everybody here this morning. God bless all of you. God bless the members of the Burlington Police and Fire Department, and God bless the United States of America. We are complete. Thank you.